I have no idea. I've literally never played Grand Theft Auto.
It's a good game.
I hear.
Probably not aged well.
Ah,
And neither has
I
the
mean,
definitive edition.
it's got a good story. It's got a
Yeah.
good story. It can age. I just saw you.
They've got the remastered version now, haven't they? Of
Oh,
San
no.
Andreas, and it looks amazing. It looks really good.
I've got to correct you on that. It's the definitive edition. The remastered is a different thing.
Ah,
Isn't it just a profit grab though, because they don't want to make GTA 6, so instead they're just re-releasing the same game again?
Pretty
then profiting.
much. Like, I spoke about this briefly before, but it was given to a small studio in India who don't know what they're doing. Just so they could get a quick cash grab. I think I fucked up on that word too when I was talking about this. Quick crash grab off the name of these 3 games.
Really struggling with that phrase.
Yeah, I can't say cash grab.
Quick
Cash grab.
cash
it
grab.
was mainly just a sort of graphical thing, wasn't it? They just touched up the graphics a bit.
But they just made it worse. And they used the mobile version too, which is just worse too.
Like some of the backgrounds and stuff looks okay, but the faces is what really looks fucked.
They did the same thing with Halo, actually, with Halo 1. If I'm like stealing the conversation, I can just stop.
No,
but
that's fine.
with Halo 1, so originally it came out on the Xbox, and then they outsourced it to this company called Gearbox. I think it was shoot, what are they called again? Bungie. Yeah, Bungie created the first game, and then they outsourced it to Gearbox, and they were like, all right, make this work on PC. So on the PC version, Gearbox, they fucked up like the bump maps. So the textures that are like 2D, they look 2D. They look super flat, and they only look 3D when you shine your light on them. They fucked up a lot of the transparent or translucent textures. They screwed up a lot of the faces. They screwed up some of the uniforms and stuff. So they did a mediocre job at remastering it. It wasn't horrible. It's still playable, and it still looks pretty good for being a 2001 game. But
is that the one used in the Master Chief Collection, or did they redo it? Because I know there's different.
They did redo it.
Okay.
In 2011, they released the Anniversary Edition,
Yeah.
which the Anniversary Edition is basically just the original one, but with new graphics. And they fucked that one up even harder, because it's not the worst remaster. It still looks very nice at like surface level. You know, the skies look really good. The textures are all pretty quality for just being new textures put on a game engine from 2001. But a lot of things don't line up, like the wall textures don't line up, so you'll be like, okay, I'm gonna snipe this alien, and then you go to shoot around a corner, and then turns out that wasn't actually a gap, that's just a texture not lining up right, or stuff like that. And then they reused a lot of assets from one of the games that came out 2 years earlier. I think it was 2 years earlier, somewhere in that range. They reused a lot of the assets, but they didn't line up right with the models, so the animations are super jank in that version. So this wasn't even built on the original game either. It was built on the Gearbox port, the PC port. So you've got the already pretty bad graphics, and then they're remastering those messed up graphics, so it looks even worse, like worse. They did actually finally try to fix that though with the latest update, and they did a pretty good job about that.
Is that the gearbox you were talking about just then? Is that the same gearbox that makes Borderlands?
It might be.
Yeah, the only
if that is,
that if it is, it's worse on Gearbox's part, but it's better on Bungie's part. Unless Gearbox were a really shoddy studio at the time. But I don't know the history of Gearbox. I can't really say.
Yeah, I don't know about if they were big in 2001.
Yep. I think no, I don't know exactly when the port was or when it was first started being worked on, because it did come out in 2003. but I still don't. I don't know if they were big then.
I mean, I don't know how big. They're obviously probably a lot smaller, but just depending on how big they were. Because they must have been bigger than the 21 size studio of Grove Street Games.
Yeah.
Surely.
Probably were, because they ended up being the massive company they are now.
Oh, and they didn't even have to deal with the trilogy either. Actually thinking about it.
If you aren't subscribed to the Greasier Wizard, you aren't a real American.